I'm Nathan Carter, 45 years old, and I built Carter Metalworks from scratch, turning it into the largest metal fabrication company in Riverton, Ohio. Every day as I wipe the sweat from my brow on the job site, I still feel the weight of the steel frames I once welded. 22 years ago, I started with an old pickup truck, a set of welding tools, and an iron will forged by my father, a factory worker in Southeast Ohio. He worked in dusty smelters, where he taught me that nothing replaces hard work and resilience. "Work hard, Nathan, but never let anyone look down on you," he said. Those words guided me through every challenge. Carter Metalworks is now an empire, with over 200 employees and contracts that make millionaires take notice. I take pride in seeing my steel frames rise in buildings across 3 states. I remember my first big project, a shopping mall in Riverton. I outbid larger competitors with an innovative, durable, and cost-effective design. That's when I knew I wasn't just a welder, but a builder. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest video. But that empire isn't just steel and contracts. It's tied to my family, to Abigail Foster, the woman I married 15 years ago. I met her at a charity gala in Riverton when I was 30 and she was 25, fresh out of law school. Abigail was beautiful, sharp, and carried the haughty air of the wealthy Foster family. Her father, Charles Foster, ran a powerful bank, and her mother, Evelyn, was a star of Ohio's social scene. Abigail rebelled, choosing me, a rough-handed laborer, over the rich suitors her family lined up. I was captivated by the way she looked at me, as if my calloused hands were something precious. Our wedding was a lavish affair, but I insisted on paying for everything, from the flowers to the reception. Charles Foster smirked behind my back, telling friends this welder wants to play big shot. I overheard but let it go. I wanted Abigail to see I didn't need her family's money. The early years were beautiful. Abigail supported me, acting as legal counsel for Carter Metalworks, helping me secure major contracts. We had Caleb, now 10, and Lily, 7, 2 kids who are the reason I burned the midnight oil. But as the company grew, Abigail changed. The change started when Caleb was born. Abigail quit her legal work, saying she wanted to focus on family, but she quickly sank into the high society world. She joined golf clubs, attended parties I wasn't invited to, and her spending grew extravagant. Designer dresses, expensive jewelry, and solo vacations at luxury resorts became her norm. I was busy with the company, trying to keep cash flowing to meet her demands, but Abigail started criticizing me. "Nathan, you work too much, always smelling of steel," she said. She called my friends engineers, welders, crude. She complained about my love for grilling ribs, calling it low class compared to the 5-star restaurants she favored. I tried to ignore it, thinking it was a phase, but other signs emerged. Abigail started attending 3-hour yoga classes I suspected didn't exist. She received expensive gifts, a silk dress, pearl earrings, claiming they were from her sister Victoria, but her evasive eyes told me otherwise. In the bedroom she grew distant, citing stress or fatigue. I still loved her, or at least the memory of the woman who believed in my dream. My suspicions grew when Abigail suggested hiring Ryan Mitchell as our family's legal counsel 6 months ago. Ryan, her old college friend, was an Ivy League lawyer who drove a BMW and wore suits costlier than many workers' monthly pay. His smug smile made me want to punch him, but Abigail insisted he was the best. "He'll protect our assets, Nathan," she said, her voice sweet but firm. I agreed because I trusted her. One evening, as I reviewed contracts in my home office, a longtime colleague, Tom, called. "Nathan, I hate to meddle in your family, but I heard some talk at the golf club. They say Abigail's been seen with that lawyer, Ryan Mitchell. Not the friendly kind of scene." I thanked Tom, but inside I was burning. I looked out the window, the lights of Carter Metalworks glowing in the distance. This company is my blood and sweat, the future for Caleb and Lily. If Abigail was betraying me, she wasn't just betraying a husband, but our family, everything I'd built. I clenched my fists, feeling the calluses from my welding days. I'm not a man who's easily broken. If a fight was coming, I'd be ready. But first I needed the truth, and I knew I'd find it soon. Caleb's 10th birthday party was a day I'd looked forward to for weeks. The backyard in Riverton, Ohio was decked with balloons and lanterns, kids' laughter filling the summer air. I stood by the grill, carefully flipping ribs, my special sauce, a recipe I'd perfected over years, blending honey, bourbon, and spices, sizzling fragrantly. Caleb, beaming, ran around with friends, while Lily, 7, helped me sprinkle salt on corn, her tiny hands careful like a real chef. These moments with my kids were what I cherished most. The Foster family was there, as usual for big occasions. Charles Foster, Abigail's father, sat at the main table, regal as a king. Evelyn, her mother, wore an expensive silk dress, chatting with Abigail's sister, Victoria, and her husband Henry, a real estate broker. Abigail glided through the crowd, her smile perfect, but her eyes distant, like she was playing a part in her own drama. I tried not to dwell on my recent suspicions. As the sun set, I went to the kitchen for more sauce. The window was open, and Charles Foster's voice cut through the air like a knife. "He's a good cook, I'll give him that," he said, his tone mocking. "But Nathan's a burden, Abigail. You need to leave him before he drags our family down. You deserve better than this pretense of happiness." I froze, gripping the sauce jar, my heart pounding. Then Abigail's voice replied, cold and sharp, unlike the wife I'd known for 15 years. "Don't worry, Dad. The lawyer files Monday. Ryan says we can take half his company. He's got some shady deals, an unstable temper. We'll paint a picture of an unfit father, a risky partner. When it's over, he'll be lucky to see the kids' weekends and get a stipend." I felt like I'd been stabbed in the chest. Abigail wasn't just betraying me. She was plotting to take everything. Carter Metalworks, Caleb, Lily, my honor. Charles Foster, who never saw me as family, was behind her, driving this destruction. I took a deep breath, set the sauce down, and returned to the backyard with a forced smile. I served the ribs, cutting each piece to their preferences, as I'd done for years. Charles liked his well done, though I always said it ruined the meat. Evelyn wanted medium but would complain if it was slightly pink. Abigail, as usual, barely touched hers, claiming she was dieting, a habit that started with Ryan Mitchell's arrival. "Delicious as always, Nathan," Evelyn said, her tone polite but fake, like I was hired help. I nodded, smiling, but inside, I was cataloging every insult, every smug glance. After the party, I cleaned up, keeping everything perfect as always. Caleb hugged me, thanking me for the ribs, and Lily told me about her school play. I listened, laughed, but part of me had shifted. I wasn't just the dad enjoying his son's birthday anymore. When the kids were in bed, I sat in my home office, surrounded by Carter Metalworks contracts and awards. My safe held assets that could buy the Fosters out twice over, but they didn't know that because I always hid my true strength. Abigail walked in, her face flushed from wine, her eyes gleaming with an excitement I now saw as the thrill of impending freedom. "Great party, Nathan," she said, perching on my desk, her voice falsely sweet. "Caleb had a blast. He's a good kid." I nodded, eyes on a contract. "Both kids are," I replied, my tone even. "Yeah, they are." Abigail hesitated, then her voice shifted to a rehearsed tone. "Nathan, we need to talk about us, about our future." I looked up, meeting her eyes, my smile steady, like when I face a rival in a boardroom. "What's our future, Abigail?" She faltered, but her chin lifted, a gesture I once found endearing. "You know this isn't working. We want different things. I need more than this." "More than what?" I asked, my voice calm. "More than a successful company feeding hundreds. More than a home, 2 healthy kids, financial security." Abigail frowned, her tone sharpening. "You know what I mean. I need intellectual stimulation, culture, someone who gets my background, my needs." I nodded slowly, as if considering. Then I said, my voice soft but icy, "You mean someone like Ryan Mitchell?" Abigail's face paled, but I didn't let her respond. I stood, walked to the door, and threw back one last line. "If you think I'll let you destroy everything I've built without a fight, you're mistaken." I left the room, leaving her silent. In my mind, a plan was forming, and when Nathan Carter plans, mountains move. I learned from my father, from welding steel in Southeast Ohio's scorching heat, that when faced with danger, you don't panic. You think, plan, act. The next morning I called Jack Sullivan, my army buddy, the only man I trusted completely. Our friendship, forged in service, was built on unshakable loyalty. I met him at a small diner outside Riverton, where no one knew us. When I told him what I'd overheard at the party, Abigail's divorce plot, Ryan Mitchell's scheme, Charles Foster's backing, Jack's eyes darkened. "I've been betrayed, Nathan," he said, his voice low. "A business partner screwed me over, cost me everything. Don't let them do that to you. Hit first, hit hard." I nodded. My iron will reignited. "I'm not letting them win, Jack. But I need proof, and a plan they can't break." I hired 3 private investigation firms, each assigned a target. Abigail, Ryan Mitchell, Charles Foster. I told them to dig deep from finances to personal habits, anything I could leverage. While waiting for results, I researched the Foster's business. Carter Metalworks had subcontracts on 3 major Foster Properties projects: a mall, a luxury condo complex, an office building. Internal reports showed Charles's bank was struggling, over-leveraged on these projects, with completion penalties looming like a guillotine. This was his weakness, and I'd exploit it. On Monday, I summoned Carter Metalworks' project managers to my office. "Gentlemen," I said, my voice calm but commanding, "we need to review the Foster Properties projects. Riverton Mall, Greenview Condos, Meridian Office Tower. I want every weld, every joint, every bolt thoroughly inspected. If there's any issue, no matter how small, we halt construction immediately. Safety is the top priority." John, the lead project manager, looked at me with a probing gaze. He'd worked with me for nearly 20 years, long enough to sense when I had an agenda. How long do we stop, boss? He asked. Until I say otherwise, I replied, my voice hard as steel. John nodded, asking no more. He knew when Nathan Carter gave an order, there was no room for debate. Meanwhile, I began setting a trap for Ryan Mitchell. The investigators reported that Ryan lived more lavishly than his law firm's income allowed. He had mysterious expenses, from rented yachts to costly trips and signs of misusing client trust funds. I decided to use this weakness to manipulate him. I contacted an actress named Lisa Grant, who specialized in roles for private investigations. Lisa, I said over the phone, I need you to play the wife of a wealthy client named Patricia Hayes. You'll go to Ryan Mitchell's office, accuse him of embezzling money from your husband's trust fund, and threaten to sue through the state bar. I need him to panic. Lisa chuckled over the line. I know what to do, Mr. Carter. He'll believe every word I say. I also installed surveillance equipment in Ryan's office, through a technician Jack recommended. Every conversation, every text would be recorded. I wanted undeniable proof that Abigail and Ryan were conspiring against me. While waiting, I kept playing the devoted husband. I drove Caleb to school, helped Lily rehearse her school play, and acted like nothing had changed. Abigail, perhaps thinking I suspected nothing, continued her fake yoga classes and secret calls. But I saw everything, and each sign of betrayal only fueled my resolve. That night I sat in my office, reviewing the investigators' reports. One detail caught my eye. Abigail and Ryan had been college sweethearts, splitting when Ryan chose law school over marrying her. Now they'd rekindled their affair, and I, unaware, had paid Ryan's legal fees, nurturing the man plotting to steal my wife and company. I called Jack again. The plan's in motion, I said. Within a month I want Charles Foster begging for mercy, Ryan Mitchell gone from Riverton, and Abigail facing her consequences. Jack gave a low laugh. You're playing a big game, Nathan, but I know you never lose. I nodded, staring out the window where the lights of Carter Metalworks still glowed. They declared war when they thought they could take my family and company, I said. I'm just choosing the battlefield. My plan was a steel trap, and each piece was falling into place. Abigail, Ryan, and the Fosters would soon learn they'd underestimated Nathan Carter. My plan began to bear fruit. Foster Properties projects, Riverton Mall, Greenview condos, and Meridian office tower, ground to a halt due to the safety issues I'd ordered inspected. Every day Carter Metalworks project managers sent reports about welds needing review, joints requiring adjustments, stretching construction timelines, and costing Charles Foster's bank massive penalties. I knew Charles was feeling the pressure, and I wanted him to feel it deeper. Meanwhile, the trap for Ryan Mitchell was working flawlessly. Lisa Grant, the actress I hired, showed up at Ryan's office as Patricia Hayes, wife of a wealthy client. She wept, threatening to sue Ryan through the state bar for embezzling from her husband's trust fund. Ryan, as I predicted, panicked. The surveillance I'd installed in his office captured his frantic calls to banks, scrambling to cover the imaginary shortfall. Abigail, unsuspecting, was swept into this storm, and I was waiting for the moment she'd step into my trap. That morning, as I reviewed reports at Carter Metalworks' office, my secretary Ellen buzzed the intercom. Mr. Carter, Charles Foster wants to see you. He has no appointment but says it's urgent. I gave a faint smile, feeling like a hunter watching prey enter the crosshairs. Show him in, I replied, my tone calm. Charles stormed in, his usual authority gone. His silver hair was disheveled, his face etched with stress. He didn't sit standing rigid before my desk, fists clenched. Don't play dumb, Nathan, he growled. I know you're behind this. My projects are bleeding money because your crew suddenly turned into perfectionists. I leaned back in my chair, looking at him with feigned surprise. Charles, I'm hurt. Carter Metalworks always puts safety first. If our diligence causes delays, isn't that better than risking an accident? Charles slammed his hand on my desk, eyes blazing. Don't pull this crap with me. I've been in business since before you were born. I know when I'm being screwed. I tilted my head, the smile fading, replaced by a cold stare. You know, Charles, in the 15 years I've been married to your daughter, you've never respected me as a businessman. You treated me like hired help at family gatherings, dismissed my achievements, and made it clear I didn't meet the Foster standard. Charles stepped back slightly, but I pressed on, my voice hard as steel. You mistook cruelty for sophistication, power for class, manipulation for intelligence. But what you forgot is that in the real world, actions have consequences. I stood, walking to the window, gazing at Carter Metalworks' steel yard, where workers toiled on frames that would last generations. Your bank committed to completion bonuses for those 3 projects. The delay penalties are substantial. I estimate you're facing an immediate loss of about $12 million, potentially $25 million if delays stretch past 60 days. Charles paled, his voice trembling. You bastard. I prefer entrepreneur, I replied, my tone even. That's the quality you mocked for 15 years. These delays are entirely legal. My team found safety issues needing immediate attention, but I turned, locking eyes with him. I can expedite resolution, with the right terms. Charles caught my meaning instantly. What do you want? He asked, his voice choked. I returned to my desk, pulling out a legal document. I want you to transfer 51% of Foster Properties shares to Carter Metalworks. Call it a merger, partnership, whatever helps you sleep, but I want control. Charles shook his head, face flushing. No way, I shrugged. Your choice. The alternative is bankruptcy. Your bank can't handle the penalties, and you've personally guaranteed the projects. You'll lose everything, but this way, you keep some dignity. Charles trembled with rage. Abigail won't forgive you. I smiled, my voice warm but commanding. Charles, Abigail will have much bigger problems to worry about. He left my office without another word, but I knew he was crumbling. At the same time, the trap for Ryan Mitchell hit a turning point. Jack called from a surveillance point near Ryan's office. Ryan just got another surprise visit from Lisa Grant. She's good. Ryan's a mess, calling everywhere for cash. I nodded, pleased. Keep eyes on him. I want to know how Abigail reacts. Jack chuckled. She's hitting Ryan's office this afternoon. They have a standing Friday meeting. I knew Abigail was desperate. Ryan had grown distant, likely from Lisa's pressure. That afternoon, Abigail visited Ryan's office, and the surveillance recorded their talk. Ryan, what's going on? She asked, her voice shaky. Ryan, haggard, confessed about the trust fund crisis and begged Abigail for help. I need $200,000, Abigail, or my career's done. Abigail hesitated, then said, I can help. Nathan has some company accounts I can sign for. No one will notice. I stopped the recording, feeling like an engineer who'd just finished a flawless steel frame. Abigail had walked into my trap, and now I had proof she was willing to embezzle from Carter Metalworks. I called John, the project manager. John, I need an emergency safety inspection for the Foster projects Monday. Everything welds, bolts, all of it. Don't miss a detail. John gave a soft laugh over the phone. Got it, boss? How long? Until Charles Foster signs the merger, I replied. My steel trap was ready to close, and the decisive moment came on a chilly morning in Riverton, Ohio. I woke before dawn, brewed coffee, and sat in my home office, gazing at the faint lights of Carter Metalworks. Abigail had left early, claiming yoga, but I knew she was trying to reach Ryan Mitchell, now frantic from my fake trap. Caleb and Lily slept soundly, unaware of the storm about to hit our family. The phone rang, snapping me from my thoughts. Janet, Carter Metalworks head accountant, called, her voice tense. Mr. Carter, I need to see you now. There are irregular transactions in the company's secondary account. I feigned surprise, though I'd anticipated this. What kind of irregularities, Janet? I asked. Someone with access transferred $200,000 to an outside account Friday afternoon. The transaction was validated, but it had no approval from you and isn't tied to any contract. A cold smile crossed my lips. I'll be right there, I said. 20 minutes later, I sat in Carter Metalworks' office with Janet, reviewing bank documents. It was crystal clear. Abigail's authorization code, her digital signature, and even security camera footage of her at the bank executing the transfer. Janet, prepare a detailed audit report, I said, my voice low, and call the company's lawyer. This looks like embezzlement. Janet nodded, her eyes concerned, but she didn't pry. She knew my orders were to be followed precisely. Back at my desk, I called Jack Sullivan. Jack, Phase 3 starts now. Time to deal with Ryan Mitchell. Jack chuckled over the phone. I'm on him. He's like a cornered animal, Nathan. Lisa Grant did great. I nodded, satisfied. Good. I'm summoning him to my office at noon. Right on time, Ryan entered my office, sweat beading on his forehead despite the blasting AC. He tried to look confident, but his panicked eyes betrayed him. I gestured for him to sit, my tone friendly as if discussing business. Ryan, I called you here about an urgent legal issue. It seems my company just lost $200,000. Ryan stiffened, but I raised a hand to stop him. No rush, Ryan. I know everything. I know how long you've been sleeping with my wife. 8 months, 2 weeks, 3 days. I know about your college romance, the divorce plot, and the scheme to take half of Carter Metalworks. I slid a file across the desk. I also know about the fake trust fund crisis I set up to manipulate you. Ryan opened the file with trembling hands, revealing photos of him with Lisa Grant, posing as Patricia Hayes, and transcripts exposing the scam. See, Ryan, I needed Abigail to commit a real crime. Adultery's shameful but not criminal. Embezzlement, though, carries 5 to 10 years in prison. Ryan stammered, his voice weak. What do you want, Nathan? I leaned back, eyeing him like an engineer assessing a flawed beam. I want you to understand your position. You took stolen money under a false pretext, conspired with my wife to steal my assets and custody, and did it all while I paid your legal fees. I pulled out another document. This is a sworn affidavit detailing your affair, your receipt of embezzled funds, and your fraudulent conspiracy. I just need to file it with the authorities, and you and Abigail will face federal charges. Ryan paled. Nathan, please. I cut him off, my tone still calm. However, I'm willing to offer you a choice. Take responsibility, return the money, and disappear from my life forever, or face the consequences through the legal system. Ryan scanned the document, his eyes desperate. If I cooperate, what about Abigail? I gave a cold smile. That depends on Abigail's choices. But I suspect she'll be busy with her own troubles. Within an hour, Ryan signed the agreement, confessing everything and pledging to repay the money in exchange for me not pressing charges. He left my office with a promise never to contact Abigail again. I knew he'd be out of Riverton by sundown. That evening, I came home to find Abigail waiting in the living room, her face flushed with anger and confusion. Nathan, we need to talk, she declared. Ryan's been acting strange all day. He won't answer his phone, and his secretary says he's on indefinite leave. I set my briefcase down, looking at her with mock concern. That's odd. I spoke with Ryan this afternoon about a legal matter. He seemed fine, though he mentioned something about taking time off. Abigail narrowed her eyes. What legal matter? I walked to the bar, poured a scotch, watching her face pale. Oh, just some irregularities in the company accounts. Nothing for you to worry about. Abigail trembled, trying to keep her voice steady. What kind of irregularities? I turned, locking eyes with her, a faint but sharp smile on my lips. Someone with access took $200,000 from a secondary account. Very sophisticated, electronic transfer, authorization code, even video of the person at the bank. The investigation's underway, but I'm confident the thief will be caught and prosecuted to the fullest. Abigail shot up, her chair scraping the hardwood floor. I need to check on the kids. I sipped my scotch, my voice even. They're at Victoria's tonight. I thought we needed some privacy to discuss our marriage. Abigail sank back into her chair, her face crumbling as she realized the walls were closing in. I walked to the desk, pulling out a thick file. No need to explain, Abigail. I know everything. The affair, the divorce plot, your father's backing, and the scheme to take my kids. The question now is what happens next. After Abigail signed the confession, everything moved quickly. I arranged for her to be sent to a mental health facility on the outskirts of Riverton, Ohio, under court supervision. The confession document detailing her embezzlement, adultery, and conspiracy against me sat securely in the safe at Carter Metalworks' office, a trump card ensuring Abigail would never dare challenge me again. Ryan Mitchell, as agreed, vanished from Riverton, carrying his ruined career and a promise to never contact Abigail. But I wasn't done. Charles Foster and his family still needed a reminder that Nathan Carter wasn't someone to underestimate. The next morning, I called Charles. It's done, I said coldly as he picked up. The merger contract is on my desk. Charles replied, his voice hollow like a man who'd lost everything. 51% of Foster properties, as requested. Will the construction delays be resolved? I smiled, gazing at Carter Metalworks' steel yard from my office window. My team's ready, Charles. Pleasure doing business. I hung up before he could respond, then turned back to my reports. Charles was now my subordinate, a bitter reversal he'd never forget. Evelyn Foster, Abigail's mother, didn't escape consequences either. My investigators uncovered that her charity was a front for tax evasion. I accidentally leaked this to a local journalist, and the scandal erupted. Evelyn was forced to resign, her social reputation shattered. I arranged for her to join a genuine volunteer organization, working directly with those in need, a way for her to atone, but also a reminder that I controlled the Foster's fate. Meanwhile, I focused on Caleb and Lily, the two kids at the heart of every decision I made. I took them to counseling to help them cope with their mother's absence. Caleb, at 10, started asking tough questions. "Where's Mom, Dad?" he asked one evening as we grilled ribs in the backyard. I looked into his eyes, keeping my voice steady. "Mom made some bad choices, Caleb. She's in a place that can help her get better, but I'm here to take care of you and Lily now." He nodded, but I saw the sadness in his eyes. Lily, younger, asked less, but I noticed her struggle through her school drawings, images of our family of three, surrounded by dark shadows. One afternoon, I got a call from Claire Evans, Lily's teacher. "Mr. Carter, I'd like to discuss some of Lily's artwork," she said, her voice gentle but concerned. "She's very creative, but I see some complex emotional signs. I think you should come to the school to see." I agreed, and the next day, I visited Riverton Elementary. Claire, a woman in her 30s with brown hair and intelligent blue eyes, led me to the art classroom. She showed me Lily's drawings, our family of three, me, Caleb and Lily, in a protective circle, but surrounded by black streaks like something threatening. "Lily's processing her mother's absence," Claire said. "She needs a healthy outlet to express her feelings." I nodded, feeling a pang of pain. "I've tried to keep things stable for the kids, Miss Evans. They're in counseling, but if there's something to help Lily, I want to try it. Claire smiled, a genuine smile that caught me off guard. The school has an after-hours art therapy program. It helps kids like Lily deal with big family changes. If you'd like, I can show you the program this Saturday. I agreed, unsure why, perhaps because of Claire's sincere care, something I hadn't seen much of since Abigail's betrayal. Meanwhile, I kept strengthening my empire. The Foster Properties merger made Carter Metalworks the region's largest construction firm, with projected revenues exceeding $50 million annually. I held a press conference at the new headquarters, a modern tower in downtown Riverton, to announce the news. Before a crowd of reporters, I told the story carefully. Abigail Foster, wife of entrepreneur Nathan Carter, was caught embezzling $200,000 from the company to fund an affair with her divorce lawyer. Ryan Mitchell fled after confessing his role. I expressed regret over Abigail's choices but emphasized my resolve to protect my children and company. Carter Metalworks will keep growing, I said, my voice firm. We build things that last, and no one can destroy that. After the press conference, I received a message from Abigail, sent from the treatment facility. Nathan, I know you see this. I want to see Caleb and Lily. I've changed. Please give me a chance to prove it. I deleted it, as I had dozens of similar messages. Abigail had 15 years to choose family, but chose betrayal. I wasn't giving her another chance to hurt the kids. That evening, I sat in my office, looking at new multi-million-dollar contracts hung on the wall. The phone rang. It was Jack Sullivan. Nathan, Abigail's lawyer just filed to expand her visitation rights. The judge denied it instantly. She's limited to 4 supervised hours a month. I nodded, unsurprised. Good, thanks Jack. I hung up, returning to work. Caleb, now 10, started showing curiosity about my work. One afternoon, I took him to a Carter Metalworks job site, where workers were erecting steel frames for a new school. Dad, how heavy is this? Caleb asked, pointing at a massive beam. I grinned, resting a hand on his shoulder. A few tons, but it's not the weight that makes it strong, it's how we put it together. I showed Caleb how to check welds, explaining that every detail matters. He listened, eyes bright, and I saw myself in him. A drive to learn, unafraid of hard work. These moments helped ease the pain Abigail left in his heart. Lily, at 7, was still learning to cope with her mother's absence. She joined an art therapy program recommended by Claire Evans, her teacher. One Saturday, I went to the school for a class art exhibition. Claire greeted me at the door, her smile carrying a warmth that surprised me. Lily's worked hard, Mr. Carter, she said, leading me to the gallery. Lily's painting hung in a corner, depicting our family of 3, me, Caleb, and her, standing in a green field under a sunny sky. The dark shadows from her older drawings were gone. She says you keep everything bright, Claire whispered. I nodded, my throat tight. I'm trying. Claire and I started meeting more often, not just for Lily. After-school coffee chats became chances to share. Once at a small cafe near the school, Claire spoke about her divorce 3 years ago. My ex-husband wanted a bigger, faster life, she said, sipping a latte. I just wanted honesty. I looked into her eyes, seeing quiet resilience, and for the first time in years I felt I could open up. I thought I had that with Abigail, I replied. But now I know the only real thing is my 2 kids. Claire didn't shy away from my story's darker corners. One evening as we sat on a park bench watching Lily and Caleb play, she asked directly, Nathan, do you ever think you went too far with Abigail? With the whole Foster family? The question stopped me. I recalled Abigail's confession, Charles's fall, Evelyn's scandal. They wanted to take everything. My company, my kids, my honor, I said, my voice low. I didn't strike first, Claire, but I had to finish it. For Caleb and Lily, she nodded slowly, non-judgmental. I get it. It's just, I see you're an amazing father, but I also see you carry a lot of hurt. Claire's words made me reflect. I'd won the war against the Fosters, but I didn't want those wounds to shape my future. I started spending more time with my kids, not just to protect, but to build new memories. I took Caleb fishing on weekends, teaching him to tie knots. With Lily, I joined her painting sessions, though my artistic skills made her giggle. These small moments were the new foundation I was building for our family. That evening, I invited Claire to dinner at home. Caleb and Lily helped me grill ribs, laughing when I spilled sauce. Claire brought a painting she'd made, a steel frame rising into the sky, symbolizing resilience. I thought it suits you, she said, smiling. I hung it in my office, beside contracts and awards. It reminded me that life isn't just about winning, but about rediscovering trust. I looked at Caleb and Lily, 2 kids growing strong despite their loss. I looked at Claire, bringing warmth I thought I'd lost. My new foundation, family, company, and myself, was taking shape, stronger than any steel I'd ever welded. Abigail and the Fosters were the past. The future was ours. A year passed since that fateful birthday party. Tonight, Carter Metalworks hosts its annual gala, an event drawing over 300 guests, employees, partners, and local media. The main hall is adorned with decorative steel frames inspired by the company's designs, paired with warm golden lighting. I stand amid the crowd, in a tailored black suit, holding a glass of champagne, but my mind isn't on the toasts or handshakes. It belongs to Caleb and Lily, the two kids laughing in the hall's corner with Claire Evans, who's become an essential part of our lives. Caleb, now 11, is growing more like me, not just in his steady brown eyes but in his curiosity about how things work. He started part-time work at Carter Metalworks job sites over the summer. Lily, 8, has found solace in art, her paintings now burst with color, free of the shadows they once held. Claire, with her patience and warmth, helped Lily turn pain into creativity. Claire approached me, her navy gown accentuating her eyes. "You look like you're thinking about $1 million deal," she said, a playful smile on her lips. I smiled back, feeling the ease she brought. "Just thinking about what I almost lost and what I have now." Claire touched my arm lightly. "You've done more than most, Nathan, but you can let yourself enjoy this moment, right?" I nodded, pulling her closer, and for the first time in years, I felt my heart fully open. In my main speech, I spoke of Carter Metalworks' future, green tech projects, recycled steel, and a commitment to Riverton's jobs. But I also spoke of family. "A year ago, I faced betrayal from those closest to me," I said, my voice echoing in the hall. "But I stand here today, not because I'm stronger than them, but because I have Caleb and Lily, who remind me daily that family is the unshakable foundation." The crowd stood, applauding, and I saw Caleb smiling proudly from the front row. After the gala, I drove Caleb, Lily, and Claire home. We sat in the backyard grilling ribs like old times, the kids' laughter filling the night air. Claire shared a story about a student who drew their class as superheroes, making Lily giggle. I looked at them, feeling a peace I thought I'd lost forever. Before bed, I taught Caleb and Lily one final lesson. "Always be loyal to those who love you," I said, hugging them close. "And if someone betrays you, stand up stronger and build again." Caleb nodded, and Lily whispered, "Like you did." I kissed their foreheads, my heart full of pride. The story of Nathan Carter and my wife, whispered the attorney files Monday at our family barbecue. Then I served the ribs with a grin, reflects the values and challenges of life in America today, especially the balance between family, career, and loyalty in a competitive, high-pressure society. Nathan, a self-made entrepreneur in Riverton, Ohio, built Carter Metalworks from nothing, embodying the hard work and iron will of America's working class. Abigail and the Fosters' betrayal, plotting to seize his company and custody of his children, mirrors the reality of broken relationships and asset disputes in modern society, where trust is easily shaken by ambition and self-interest. Nathan's calculated, cold revenge while protecting Caleb and Lily shows the power of resilience but also warns of the cost of vengeance. His new bond with Claire Evans and his children's growth highlight the importance of rebuilding from pain. The lesson from this story is to protect core values, family, and loyalty, but not let hurt turn you into someone distant. Be resilient like Nathan when facing betrayal, but instead of just seeking revenge, focus on renewal, as he did with his kids and company. Ultimately, as Nathan taught Caleb and Lily, stay loyal to those who love you, for that's the unshakable foundation in a turbulent world. Subscribe to the channel to follow the resilient journeys of people like Nathan Carter, defending family and building empires from ashes. Thank you for joining us, and see you in the next video to explore more inspiring stories from Riverton, Ohio.